Okay, that should go green soon-ish. Nice. I really need to start scheduling these. That would be smart. That should go. Yes, awesome. Cool. So, I guess while we wait for people, we are going to be doing drop boxes today. So, I'm going to want Chrome open for this. And we want to go to here. So, this is Mixer. One sec. If I can start this quick, we don't need to actually stream it. I just need to show what happens. I don't know why it jumps to mobile like this. It's really annoying. It's very annoying. Anyway. Was kind of expecting that to work. What? Hello. So far the weekend has been alright. I don't know. I watched Star Wars, Rogue One. That was interesting. It was not as good as I had thought it would be. But, it's alright. It was just kind of generic action movie. Something is preventing... This is going to be really hard to do if Mixer isn't connecting. There we go. Okay. So there's these 4 buttons down here. What's happening is Unity is actually saying create this scene. When you say switching, or when you see switching to Dropbox from Dropbox, that's not really what's happening. This is the scenes are kind of screwed up a little bit, but these are the interactive panels on Mixer. So you can actually click these, and that actually gets sent back to Unity. So there's actually a little bit of a test here. What's the best way to do this? This will work. Rogue One, not The Last Jedi. I haven't seen The Last Jedi, actually. I've been meaning to. I have not been to a movie theater in like 3 years. And it's not on Netflix. Rogue One was on Netflix, so I was like, okay, screw it, I'll watch that. And it was, I don't know, it was alright. What do I want? Interactivity Manager. Sorry. We want to do, so Mixer Interactive. There is, if you want to do some of this stuff, Mixer has a plugin that is on Unity. It's also on GitHub. It's a little bit early. It's still very beta. And most of the things I've found don't work. But, I don't know. Yeah. As far as the theater thing, it's not so much justifying going to one. Like I can go to a theater, no problem. It's more finding the time to do it. I don't really have the time. I guess I have the time. I just spend it on other things. I spend it on this and other things. So I don't know. It's just kind of a trade-off. Usually I'll have like a movie on one screen and then like poke at code or catch up on the news or whatever on another one. And I do a bunch of other stuff. It's hard for me, depending on the movie. If it's like a really story-driven movie, I can watch it all the way through. But like, especially the superhero movies that are very action-driven, I don't really like that. So like, it's interesting. There's certain parts that are interesting and kind of like fun for like learning how to build a character and stuff. But most of like the fight scenes and stuff are just choreographed fight scenes. So normally I'll be doing something else and watch things explode in the background. So I don't know. That's just what I do. What we can do, so with this Mixer Interactive thing, I'm going to actually see if our button is pressed, which is actually super easy. So if I go here and say, I think I called them pick 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so this is just a really simple test that I was doing. I bet Inception was good in theaters. I agree. That's a great movie regardless. It was well put together. All right. So all I'm going to do here is just hook this up. And actually, if you guys want to go to, let me go here. Let me turn this off for a second. And so that should bring the interactive stuff. I should get rid of it. And then hopefully one of you guys can click one of the buttons and I'll actually see it. And that will just kind of prove the entire system is working. It looks like it's being a little bit buggy. I don't know why it's still there. Maybe the the compile errors are causing issues. We'll see. So what I want to get done this stream is just getting these boxes to actually drop. So there's going to be random events that you can interact with as a streamer or as a viewer of a stream. And so each of those picks, you can't actually change the name, which is one of the things that's kind of bugged right now. So what I'm going to do in game is actually just pop up like a little icon above each of these, because the stream would sit in a rectangle just above it. And so then you just click and the game would react. So that's sort of where we're trying to get. I don't know how well it's going to work. I don't know what is going to come out of it. But the feature's there, so we're going to use it. And then we'll see how it all works. It'll probably be an option to like either buff the characters that are there or hinder them in some way. So depending on what's happening, you can either be like, yeah, you get this new fun like rocket launcher, or I just spawned 10 enemies and go deal with that. So we'll see. I have some plans for also building like a boss or something, but I don't really know how that's going to work. Okay, so this should print the picks that you guys press. So it's like a lot. I don't know how to describe it. Think of it. Are you familiar with like what's NVIDIA's thing? The NVIDIA game thing. NVIDIA Shield. Like they can stream the game from, I think, from your computer onto the game system. And Steam can do that as well to like the Steam console or whatever. What you can do with this is theoretically set up a stream to stream this game up to here. And then these options should, like if I click pick 2, you'll see pick 2 appears in the console. And so I can like continue to interact like this. And anybody else in the stream can do this too. And we can set up like costs, for example. So there's these sparks, which are earned based on how much you watch. And there's other things that you can do to make things interactive or have costs. You can add cooldowns, things like that. That's a little bit weird. I don't think we're gonna do that. Yeah, so this is similar to like those voting things on Twitch. Mixer uses it a lot for. They use it mostly for like soundboards. So if you want to like interact with the streamer or something, you can pay like 5,000, and then it just does something. You can do whatever. So I have no idea where it's gonna go. It'll probably just be like weapon drops and things. But you can see theoretically anybody that goes to this page now is going to see this, and then they'll be able to drop things. So can one of you guys go to that link I posted and just hit something, and we'll see if it's correct? I just kind of want to verify. I have never done it across systems. Technically this is across systems, but it'd be nice to kind of verify that. So pick one was the last. I'm really hoping this works, and I'll just know as soon as somebody clicks it. Because if it works, then I can just implement those ifs in code, and we should be good. All right. Oh, yep, there's one. So somebody hit pick one. Awesome. I hope that's what you actually hit, because if not, then something's weird. But it's working. Awesome. So you did a 1. Great. Cool. So we got what we wanted, which means that now we just need to actually build something that interacts with this. Yeah, okay, so you can't interact without creating an account, and that's mostly that the reason they do that is mostly just to prevent like spamming and stuff. So there's more. Let's see if I can actually do this quick. So I can actually kind of demonstrate a little bit about how this is actually set up and how this works. And then you guys can kind of throw out some other ideas. So if I go to build, this right here is what that layout looks like. So if you were on a big screen, this is what you would have seen. If you were on a phone, you would have seen that. If you were on like a little tablet or something, you'd see something like this. We can add other controls. So like a joystick. So like if I wanted to say create a boss that you could control, I could stick a joystick in the middle. And there's some configuration things. But yeah, that joystick effectively controls whatever I want. I could get that joystick information in the game. And actually, if I start it, you'd see it. It's just a like the classic smartphone joystick. And I kind of want to use that eventually, but right now, there's no way to switch these scenes. So I'm just stuck in the default scene, and there's no way to create or remove controls dynamically. That just isn't supported currently in the Unity version of the API. It's supported in their like REST API, but I'd have to implement that myself, and I don't want to. So that's sort of where we're stuck right now. But this works. So all we need to do, trying to pick, I probably will need to start this. So let's jump back here, do this. All right, you should be able to actually interact again. It won't, so the thing is it won't have any feedback for you on that screen unless I program it to. So what I could do, just as kind of as an example to kind of show this, somebody's having fun with the 3. So we're getting this. This will only work when I'm actually running the game. It won't, if those buttons are there and I'm not running it, they'll just get ignored because it's just being read by this interactive build test thing that I have. What I can do is say get button, or actually there's a set progress. Yeah. Okay, so if I do pick one dot set progress. Do I want progress? No, let's set a cooldown. Trigger cooldown. So every time you press it, it will set a, I think this is in milliseconds, so we'll set a 5-second cooldown for each of these. And so this way, you can only interact with it once every 5 seconds. So, and this will be per person. So this is all happening per frame or whatever. So we'd only get one of these button presses, and then we'd trigger the cooldown and it would go offline. So if I go back here and restart this now, when you guys go and click those interactive buttons when they pop back up, which should happen right now, like if I click 1, you'll see it goes on a 5-second cooldown, and that's synchronized across everybody viewing the stream. And then everybody can kind of do that same thing. So they're all connected that way. And it provides another form of interaction. So that's sort of how we're going to implement, like, you as a streamer or as a person get to interact. You get to throw these commands, whatever they may be. We can come up with just 4 choices that pop up. They'll have to be in game because I can't change the text here, but that should work. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. How though? I don't really know how we're going to do this. I was thinking, so like basic shape stuff, we just need a really easy way to represent a box, I guess. And I don't know the best way for that. So I'm probably just going to stick with a cube and go from there. So this is just the Dropbox. I'm wondering if there's a better way to do this. Should we make a sprite for this? We can do that. So let's do like a 16 by 16 just box sprite, top down obviously, and then that will just be the Dropbox that you pick up. So stop. This tool has been more stable in the past, but whatever. I suppose I could have just undid that. But anyway, let's pull. I don't know what this is going to look like. I'm kind of making it up on the spot. But we can make it work. And so I kind of want these to be color-coded. Do I want them to be color-coded? Would that be a good idea? Or should they all be the same and it's a mystery until you open it? So it could do a Dropbox, and then it could be like a proximity thing, so you get really close and open it up, and then there's like a zombie inside. Or you open it up and there's a rocket launcher inside or something. So it's kind of like that risk versus reward thing. We might be able to do that. That would actually be interesting, because it'd be, if I just color code it and make like one red, then you just run away. Whereas like the blue one is like health or something and you just run towards it. This way, if we do it like this, theoretically it's a little bit, I don't know, easier to tell. And one thing you're going to notice is I am awful at spriting. So this might look a little bit weird, but whatever. For like the basic game, I'm not too concerned about how it looks. Just that it works. So yeah, I don't know. How's your guys' weekend been? Good? Calm? Not calm? Crazy? All right. And then I think in the middle, do I use and like Blender? I use Blender. I don't like Blender. Blender is so... I like Blender because it's powerful. It's really powerful. But it's gotten better. It's gotten way better. But it still controls awfully. The user experience is not there. So we could have done this in Blender. And it would have been actually pretty... You know what? Yeah, screw it. Let's do Blender. Why not? So I guess we get to talk about why I like Blender and why I don't like Blender. So this is cool. This is kind of weird. Why does right clicking just pick this up and then drop it back? most of this is because I am not a 3D artist and I don't really understand how all the pipeline stuff works, which is totally on me. That's not like these kind of tools. So like Adobe Premiere or After Effects or Blender or Maya or all of those really like big name art things, you need to know at least a little bit about what you're doing because that's who they're designed for. They're designed for people that know what they're doing. Blender, on the other hand, I don't know. Blender is just it's in that weird thing where it's kind of like everybody else's graphics tool, but it's not really everybody else's graphics tool because it just I don't know, it's hard to use. All right, let's make this 0.5. Cool. Actually, 0.25, and then 0.25 and 0.25. Cool. So there is a box, right? Let's stretch it out. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's stretch it out along our y-axis. Sure. I don't know. So like some of the things I just need to. I feel like it's just something that I need to learn. Okay. What is the best way to do this? I kind of extrude. Yeah, this should work. So I want to extrude this. That actually, hold on. Let's go to the other side too. Oh, this isn't gonna work, is it? This may have been a bad move on my part, but whatever. I made the decision. We are sticking with it. So that can go there. Let's make it 0.25 and take the other one and put it at negative point. What? Okay, that was kind of weird, but whatever. What do I want? I want this to be two sides with sort of like a glowing center. Ideally, it would like extend and do all sorts of cool animations, but I don't have the time for that. So it's not going to do any of those cool animations. Let's see. I want to shrink you. Sure. That'll work. I can actually drop that, copy that, bring it over to negative point. Why is it all relative to one another? That's kind of weird to me, but whatever. It's not my tool of choice. I spent a lot of time in school learning, I learned Maya, and I got all right at that. And then it would have cost me a ton of money, and I said no. So now I don't have Maya. That's that story. I have no idea if this is a good idea, but let's join those. See, but so I'm not so concerned about like the camera movement. I can figure that out. For me, the annoying thing is it's very hard to understand what's going on. And like there's certain things that I personally like to see, like the coordinates that something is at, like the position, the scale, and the rotation. I like those displayed at like all the time. And I don't know how to do that. I don't think there's a way. Well, there's probably a way. I just don't know it, and I've never found it. So press N. Oh, well, that would be nice. Why am I in edit mode? There we go. This has been the best so far. We have done so well. All right, negative 0.25. Cool. So there is a box question mark. So now, drop another box in the middle, call it good. Seems good to me. Is that a good idea? Sure. Cube. Well, that was huge. Let's center this and scale this down to like 0.04. Just kind of guessing at these numbers. It doesn't really matter all that much. This is just going to be like a green glowy bit in the middle because I can't be bothered to come up with original art. So we're going to do whatever this turns out to be. Somebody's going to come here and figure out, be like, oh, he does Blender stuff. And no, I don't do Blender stuff. So there's a cube. How's that for a cube? Let's join that, because why not? Is that what I want to do? I don't think I wanted to do that. We're gonna pretend like that works. Here's a question. How do I select edges? Like I want to select the edges around like that edge. There's got to be a way to select edges. Select. Well, that didn't work. Oh, stop. When all else fails, go to Control Tab. Oh. So I should probably mention, I don't like hotkeys. Like, so I like hotkeys, but I don't like it when they're like your primary user interface. Like Vim is super nice as well. So I don't want the entire edge loop. I want these middle bits to be not selected. It's just all the exterior all the exterior edges. I want to bevel those. What the heck? Okay. Maybe that wasn't what I thought it was. Bevel. This is not doing what I had anticipated. Is there a way to add a bevel around the vertices? Or like selectively subdivide? Oh, that wasn't what I wanted. See, but Control B gives me this. But then it does whatever this is, which isn't... It doesn't really make any sense to me. Maybe... Do I have to do them each side separately? That's kind of weird. Oh well, we can do that. Oh, and then it doesn't do the plane at the back. The plane is all wrong. I don't think this is gonna work because like this looks all right, but then there's this weird whatever that is. I don't want that. I mean nobody's gonna see it because it's super pixelated. I just kind of want this so like the light looks like it gleams off of the sides, which we could actually accomplish in a few other ways, but. I do have something a little bit funky. Let's just go back until things are less weird. All right, let's try this again from the top. Still doing the, not doing the back. See, but I don't want the back selected. That's the thing, is I want the back to be flat. Like I want it to have the bevel, but I don't want it to whatever. So effectively I just want to cut into it. I don't want it to, like the top bit, I don't want to be beveled. I don't think there's... Okay. Well, this will work for now. Sure. That was a lot of... You know what? We can... I could have just done this in like Pro Builder. That would have worked. Whatever. We can export this. Let me move that over there so not everybody sees all my files. What did I call it? There we go. I have no idea what I just saved that as. I forget. Blender also, because it's cross-platform, it does a lot of other stuff. So like the file selector is its own custom little thing. So I don't know, I don't like that either. So we have that. Whatever, it works. Sorry about that. Let's create a Dropbox. And then we need 2 materials. Dropbox side. This is definitely not the optimal solution, but it's a solution. So whatever. Ideally we'd like UV map it and do a bunch of stuff and then just compress it all into a single thing. But I can't be bothered to do that, so we're just gonna do green. There's that. Drop our glowy thing on there. And then definitely don't need that or that. And then drop the sides on it, and I think we're good. Cool. So this is the drop box. Isn't that super fancy? We're going to want to rotate things. There we go. That was easy. And then if I just drop that right on the ground there. .25. I'm going to say a bunch of numbers apparently. I know my artistic talent is way up there, and that's not, I don't know. I like to think I do all right with art, just not that. So we have a box. Let's add a glow to it. You can definitely, so how do I want to do this? Like, so with assets and stuff, I don't entirely know the best way to handle contributions and stuff. I would like to like open source this eventually, but right now, like I'm using Rewired for inputs so that I can handle the controllers better and stuff. And I don't know. I can't open source it right now is sort of the thing. So I don't know how. I don't know the best way to do contributions, honestly. If it's something you really want to do, we can work something out. But we'd talk after the stream effectively. And you can just like message me on Discord if you want, and we can figure that whole thing out and if it'll work or whatever. But I definitely like, I don't know. When people are contributing to things, I like to pay them, which the channel doesn't make the money for me to pay people for this. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation, but 3. How's that for ambiance? Oh, let's rotate this one the other way. I don't know. I think that looks all right, right? It's not super bad. Kind of happy with that. So if we generate this, I'm curious what will happen when I move this close to a wall. I think that's the next big test. Doesn't look, so I was concerned because I upped the intensity to like 11 that it would just be like ridiculous, but it doesn't seem that bad. So yeah, I don't know. I'm happy with that. Looks green. I guess that's sort of the goal. One other thing. Let's grab our main camera and go to our post effects and turn some bloom on. Does that? Yeah, that'll give it a little bit of the extra glow, I think. It's like we up this to like 3. You can see there's some bloom going on there, which it's minor still, but it's there. I don't know, making it up. Like flat green. There we go. Cool. So that's a Dropbox. I don't really know how pickups and stuff are going to work on that, but it's a thing that you can walk into the middle of. Whatever. So I think it's going to open as soon as you get within, because I want it to drop from the sky, which we can do now actually. I'm going to need 2 slightly modify things just to get this all working. It's the best way to do that. Put an audio mixer there. So I have like a bunch of windows that I don't use stuck over here, just to kind of hold space for the camera. So usually that's the animator and animation tabs, but we're going to need that for this. Are we? Yeah, I think I've got an idea for how we can do the Dropbox and make it look really cool. So yeah, let's do that. Jump here. We're going to need an animator controller, which will just be our Dropbox animator. Sure. Throw that on there. And then let's jump into this. So we need a new, I guess falling state. So it'll fall, and then after that completes, it'll just go to its idle. And then we're going to want one for pickup. Yeah, this should work. So I'm going to stick a box collider on there. So you can't walk through it, but I'm going to disable it initially. So it's going to be disabled until you get into the idle state, and then we're going to enable it, and then the pickup will disable it again, so you can kind of walk through the shards or whatever. Apparently I have been developing a cough. That's fun. Let's see. I want it to fall and then turn on that light once it gets near the ground, so it'll kind of like flash like those old like neon things. It'll kind of flash a bit, and then the lights will come on and it will land on the ground and you can pick it up. That's the idea. Whether that works or not, we'll find out. But that's sort of what I'm going for. We're going to need an animation for this, aren't we? First, let's throw in a Boolean for activated. So this will trigger when the box is activated. So when it becomes activated, it goes into the pickup state and then exits. I think this makes sense. We'll have to check, but yeah. Okay. So we need a falling animation, which I can't do from here, can I? Nope. Not gonna like me. Shoot. All right. Animation. We are going to want the animator somewhere else. There works. So I want them separate because we're going to be like swapping out materials and stuff on this box in order to simulate like the flickering. So it just seems like the best option, I think. Either that or we could just have another cube that isn't disabled or that doesn't have the lights. Cube 2 off. And so this one we can kind of trigger it on and off, and we can just kind of flip between the two. We are making I don't know what to call it, a live streamed game. So the game is streamed to a web service called Mixer, and then you can actually browse through, or you can actually like play that game, but all of the actual visuals for the game are represented in a stream. I guess that's the best way to do it. So the only thing you do is you have an input controller locally that you will send. What we're working on right now is a way to kind of drop things into the game so that the chat can drop items into the thing. We need red. I don't understand. Do you want the box to be red? So the stream doesn't control the game entirely. There's actual players. So it's kind of everybody's in this giant queue of people to play. And then the idea is you want to eliminate the people currently playing so that you can play. And the way you do that is through these interactions with the actual game. So it's kind of that modification to get everything working. So swapping the cubes isn't going to break the animation because we're animating the drop box, and these cubes are actually inside of it, so it shouldn't cause any issues because they're just children of what we're actually animating. So I don't anticipate any issues there yet. I'm sure we'll run into some weird things. It's been a while since I've done mechanism stuff, so this is probably going to go downhill very quickly, but we can work with that. All right. Let's grab our box and start animating it. So first, let's turn off that so that it is just off permanently throughout the falling. And then for the transform, let's start. I don't want to animate the X or the Y positions. Ooh, this might be... So I don't want to change the X or the Y, because if we change the X or the Y, it's going to get... Well, it's going to only drop in that one place, and I don't want that. So I think we can just leave this and take the default values for those. And we just need to modify our Z value so that the entire box falls to 0.25 at the end, which should be... There. Default value, is it going to default to just 0? No, don't do that. I'm trying to think, does it make sense to do all of this in mechanism and have like a single highly choreographed animation? Or what if we just drop everything? So if I take all of this out and drop all of that, we don't need any of this. I can delete that, delete that. I'm thinking though, instead of doing that, let's create a Dropbox? Sure. So I want a Dropbox animation. Is that what I want? Yeah. And so we're going to save the target position, private float. This seems like just as bad of an idea. So we could either programmatically animate this whole thing. You called it. Definitely going to do a lerp if we do it this way. But we can either do that or we can do it with an animator. I don't particularly care. Both will work. If you guys have a preference, I guess we can do different things with either of them. So, all right, cool. We're gonna do this. Float animation time. Let's actually, we can drop the lerp and do an animation curve. Yeah. Height. So that's the thing, is Mechanim would be super simple, but then you only get just one animation. And what if we want, like, I don't know, something random? I don't know. They both like have their advantages, and we could, usually when I do this, I do like a Mechanim and then I'd script something in there to kind of like add that scripted bit that can kind of change things a little bit beyond just the hard-coded animation, but I want to play with this. So we're going to do that. Private transform, this will be our target, and we're going to save that from our default. Let's actually save the position, not the transform, because the transform is going to change, because that's just the reference to the transform, which will update. That wouldn't be useful. All right, got that. Let's make this public. And let's get our animation time public as well. Private float timer equals 0. And then let's update the timer by the time delta. Time to delta time divided by the animation time. So if the animation takes 2 seconds, we'll divide that by our delta time. So it'll be half of whatever the current second thing is. Where is IntelliSense or autocomplete? It is totally broken. So yeah. I don't know what causes it, but every so often Visual Studio is just like, you don't get IntelliSense anymore. And lately it's been happening in IntelliJ too, which I don't understand because they're totally unrelated. It's just, I don't know, it's just a weird error. So we can get a little bit and then I'll have to go and get that back. But I think I should be able to say this .transform.position is equal to our target plus our vector3 up forward times our height curve dot evaluate by our timer. Let's call this the height curve. So I do have Rider, I think. Yeah, I've got Rider installed. We could do that. But Visual Studio works most of the time. This error just kind of pops up randomly. You'll see it. I have like 10 videos now where this has happened and I just have to restart it, which doesn't actually take that much time anymore because I put it on a very fast SSD. So I don't know, it doesn't bother me that much. It's just there. So this should animate our height to whatever. If timer is less than 1, then increment the timer and set the position. Otherwise, transform position equals the target. Cool. So this will allow us to kind of animate that. I think. We're going to find out real quick. All right, animation time, we'll say 2 seconds. And I just want this to do something like that. Thank you for making something with shaders. Watching someone actually go through it rather than assuming that you know stuff is nice. Yeah, you're welcome for that. Shaders were one of the reasons. So how do I say this? I like shaders because there's something that you like. When I looked at them, I was like, I don't want to touch these. These look scary. But when you actually start using them, once you understand the math behind them, it's actually really cool. Like the stuff you can do with it with just like some really basic math things. That's really cool. Like the transformation thing we did with the spinning cubes. I don't know. That was one of my favorite videos so far, at least. But I don't know. I think shaders are interesting. There's so much stuff you can do. Like if you head over to Shader Toy, you can spend a day there and have no idea how any of that stuff is done, and it's just super fun. So I don't know. I kind of, yeah. It's something that I don't personally know much about besides just what I've done with it. So that's sort of why I do it, is because shaders are something that I think you can do a lot more with. Like this channel is the reason that I know about compute shaders and how to use those. So it goes both ways. But if it's helpful, then I'm doing something right, or at least pretending to do something right. All right. So let's see if our animation works. A lot of shader stuff is guessing and then applying it after you remember it. Nice. That's not actually that wrong. It's a very, whoa, that came out of nowhere. It's a very visual thing. It's something you have to get really good at like visually debugging things, because shaders don't always turn out the way you expect, and the GPU doesn't really give you any way to debug it. So you kind of have to dig a little bit or know what would cause this. So if you like math, it's a very fun thing. If you don't like math, it's probably one of the worst things you could do in programming, because it's all math. But I don't know, it's fun. And the more you learn about it, the more powerful it gets. It's not, I don't know, it's fun. This is going the wrong way, so I need to flip this. And let's actually just add a height here. And multiply that as well. And then hopefully so like the GPU actually does tell you some things that are wrong, like all those compile errors you get with your shader. Those come from your GPU. It's just figuring all of that out. That's the hard part. And like knowing where to look for that. So let's give it a height of 20, see what happens. We should see a box come flying from the sky. It works. Cool. So now we have the height thing. Ooh, we could do so much fun stuff with this. Yeah, this is gonna be cool. Okay, so I have an idea. We are going to mess a ton with the color of these things. So light intensity? Sure. Yeah, this will work. This will be fun. So if I take the material for our glow material and get a list of our lights, what I can do is, assuming this works, which it might not, but let's see. Glow material, lights, light intensity. Yeah, this will work. Okay. Color. We want the color, and to do that, this is going to be our glow color, which is going to equal we're going to have a public light color that we can set like so. Light color. And we're going to multiply that by the light intensity and evaluate that based off of the timer. So we're going to get a color that is going to shift based off of that animation curve. Theoretically. Might not work. And then we're going to take our glow material and set something. This is the part where I restart Visual Studio to actually get IntelliSense, because I don't know what I'm doing. So effectively, we're going to be able to bind the material's emissive color and our lights to the same color, and then use an animation curve to actually animate that over the time of the drop. So we can actually like have them turn on, but it won't be like a, well, we can make it like flick right on, or we can have it like slowly get brighter or whatever. And we can see what happens. Yeah, this will be interesting. I have no idea if this is worth it compared, because all of this stuff you could do in Mechanim. There's no reason we couldn't have, other than I got stubborn and didn't want to do it. Now, question time. Is that the right name? Probably not. Going to have the shader check the variable on another object? No, I'm going to set the color on the material and pass that in. Make sure you access and store the reference properly. I think we're doing that. Pretty sure. Yeah. If it doesn't work, we'll find out very shortly. Very light. Let's grab our lights. This needs to be a for each. Emission color. All right, cool. That sounds correct. I was totally guessing in the dark, so I believe you. Let's do a light. Oh, come on. There's a color on the light. No, there's a color on the light. There isn't a color on the light. What? This doesn't seem right. Right? There's more than this. A light? What? Is it bad practice to access variables from another script? It depends. So one of the things that I would like to cover more is there's a lot of things that you don't learn, especially at like schools. You don't learn about designing good programs. You learn about how to develop programs, but how to make something that you can maintain and continue to develop over time and that will be easy to maintain. Those kind of things aren't things you learn at school. And I don't think you should learn them at school. I don't think they can teach that. It's something you kind of have to pick up. One of the things that I want to start covering more is like, how do you abstract something? We did this in like one of the older videos. I had like a fractal generator that would generate a fractal tree. And then we used modifier scripts So each modifier would like rotate something or move it or do whatever. And each of those could be stacked on top. That's sort of where I think design should go. To some point, I do this more than I probably should. But the idea is you don't want your object to encapsulate too much. You want your object to, or you want your class to have a specific reason for existing and a specific thing that it does. And then you don't want to expand beyond that. You want something else to do it. And then if you're like passing things down that line, you don't want to skip levels. So like you'll have like a linear graph of information comes in here, gets transformed here. That transformed data goes here, and then something else happens, and then something else sends it off to some other service. Like that kind of thing, you don't want to jump some of those, and you don't want to expose what's reading that information in from what's sending the information out. And the reason you don't want to do that, like going to why you don't want to access variables from other things, when you start crossing those things and like your thing that is sending it off to whatever service knows about how it's receiving data, then if your receiving data stuff changes, you may break what actually sends your data out. And that kind of applies everywhere. So the less dependent things are on one another, the easier it is to maintain. And so when you start crossing those lines a lot, it just gets really hard. And that's where interfaces become super useful, because you can define an interface. You can say this does this. Like that's why I use enumerable interfaces almost all the time when I use lists, because all I'm saying when I use like an enumerable is I want this to be something that I can iterate over. I don't care if I can add to it. I don't care how that data is stored. I need something that I can do over this. And whatever is creating that data can decide what is the best way to provide that data to be consumed. And so that way, I don't care that it's in a linked list or an array list or a hash map or whatever. That becomes irrelevant to me. And then when that changes in the object upstream, then I don't care. So I don't know if that really answered the question. Kind of went on a ramble, but that's sort of my take on it, is sort of try to keep things separate, but keep things that should be together. And usually just add a bunch of encapsulation until it works. But yeah, I don't know if that helped, but that's my take on it. All right, animation time. Light. Why don't the lights have a color? Right? They should have a color, but they don't. I'm going to open up the good old Microsoft Edge and go to Unity Light. All that US politics. Woo! See, it says there's a color. All right, thought so. I'm going to pretend like this is correct until I'm proven wrong. Oh, ha. I did the Java thing. That wasn't how you do a for each loop in C#. My bad. Works now. It's not even that late. That shouldn't have happened. Oh well. All right. So glow color, set that to the light. We're good. Everything should be good. Let's see if this works. So the only thing we did lose from this is that HDR or high dynamic range color on the material is going to go away, but we can kind of get it back, I think. So we will have to see. Let's drop our material in there and then drop our two lights. All right, So I want this to actually fall like this. And I want this to just 0.75. I want it to just hit the ground. And then have a linear tangent there. And we're going to add another key, and it's going to kind of bounce back up. Smooth? Sure. How's that? That doesn't really look like gravity, but oh well. So it'll kind of hit the ground and bounce a little bit. That might be a little bit too much, but yeah, there we go. Okay, so the idea is it'll hit the ground and bounce. And so I want our light intensity to start at 0, like so. How do I want to do this? Clamped auto. No, that's not right. Broken, flat, flat. And then this can just be constant. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so when it hits the ground, it is going to flash on, like so. So it'll hit the ground, the light will pop on at full intensity, and then it will almost immediately go back out. So this will go, oops, 0.8. That wasn't what I wanted. This is going well. There. Animation curves are the best thing. Like, whoever developed these things made them so awesome. Because you can do, like, you can almost work with almost anything, and it just works, which is sweet. I like it. Let's see here. Constant again. There we go. This one's not going to go totally off, and then we'll do that a few more times. Yeah. So theoretically, if I've done this correct, we ought to get something that somewhat resembles a bunch of flickering. And then it will just get super bright. Right? That should work. So all the animation curves are is just a way to effectively animate a float value. Well, that worked well. Our lights didn't turn on. And our material is gone. Well, obviously I don't know enough about animation curves. What did I miss? Oh, I know what I missed. The light color. That thing that we didn't set to anything. We should probably set that to something. There we go. Alright. This should work. So, yeah, an animation curve is just a way to animate a floating value. It's just a graph of values. That kind of looked weird. It bounced super high, though. Broken. Boop. So now I guess it's just about making this bounce a little bit better. So now it does that. And then we had one more. Oh. That shouldn't be broken. Flat. There we go. And then let's add one more. And so all this is doing is just adding like a really simple, like if you drop a box, it will bounce a little bit. This one's made out of like aluminum or whatever. We'll pretend like it's made out of aluminum just so we feel like we know what we're talking about. And then it will just kind of, yeah, bounce. Boing, boing, boing. Guess we'll see if this works. I don't know. I'm making this up on the spot, so boink. That looks all right. Kind of shows it's doing something. The only other thing I want to add here is so if the box falls on you, then you die. So I want to add something to kind of demonstrate that. So we're going to increase the height by a ton and then increase the animation time by like 4. Okay, that bounce is huge. Let's drop this down to like 1.075 and 0.05. Sure. Whatever. This will work. And I edited all of that while playing. My bad. What's the best way to do this? Is there a better way? Like, so I could have, I don't know, I could have scripted this or done it in any number of better ways. But I'm the kind of person who will do something one way, and then regardless of how that went, I'll do it in a different way just to kind of see what happens. And this is sort of going that way. And that's mostly like you do something and you learn something from that, and then you change it to try to fix it and see what happens. And so that just keeps happening. So even if something actually works, I'll still change it just to see if it works a little bit better. That looked all right. So it kind of drops and then it bounces a little bit and then we're good. So now we can either add like a red glow underneath it, which will just be literally a red light. Let's see here. Point light, spotlight, spotlight. That'll work. So we have a spotlight pointed straight down with like a spot angle of say 5. And a range of, I think we said the height was 100 or 80, so we'll do 100. Make it red. I'm curious what this will actually do. So we should see like a red light get more and more intense and kind of focus. Yeah. I think that looks all right. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look bad. And we can obviously bring in that spot a little bit more, so it isn't as, I don't know, awesome and unique. I hope they're unique in a good way, because I don't always use unique as a way of saying, granted, I'm Minnesotan, so I don't ever come out and say, I don't know. Unique doesn't always mean good, at least to me. I think it's good, but okay, I'll stop talking. This is just ramble, but all right. Spotlight, cool. We can crush things now. So all I need to do is in here, just enable the collider 2D. There we go. and then disable it when it's falling. You the man. I am definitely a man. I don't know if that's unique. There's a lot of people, like 3 billion people happen to be the man. But, you know, teach their own. I think, yeah, if you lead it with awesome and unique, you're probably correct. That probably means something different than when somebody does something really weird, like, I don't know, juggling on a unicycle while yodeling. When they do that, that's unique as well. And actually, that's actually a really cool thing. I would love to see that. But at the same time, it's sort of that thing where you're like, that's unique. And you don't really want to say, oh, that's kind of odd. But, you know, okay. So I'm just disabling the collider here until, yeah. So the collider is disabled until it falls, and then it becomes enabled. Is that actually what I want? No. The answer is no. We're going to need another animation curve, aren't we? Actually, we don't need another animation curve. Public float collider active after. And we'll set that to like 0.75. So this will be the percentage of the animation that is played until the collider becomes active. We're implementing mechanism in real time. This is great. Collider active after. Dude, I bet you could make a really fun like VR game about being a juggling, yodeling unicyclist. Really, that's just juggling in VR, but, you know, at the same time, you'd feel like a badass if you're on a unicycle and there's just random yodeling playing and you're wondering why. I don't know. This is a weird tangent. Really, really weird tangent, but whatever. Collider. Let's enable it if that's true. Cool. Juggling in bullet time. That'd be fun. All right. So all I did here is enable our collider when our timer is greater than the collider active after. So theoretically, this box should crush you if you are under it during whenever. So I'm going to on if you enter the collider, we have to be careful how we're doing this. If you enter the collider while it's still falling, so if timer is less than 1, so if the box is still falling and you are under the box and the collider is on, then you die. So we'll just do debug.log deads. You could juggle 10 balls and rewatch in normal speed. That would actually be kind of fun. And that wouldn't be too hard to do. Like, catching things in VR is super easy. If you get like VRTK, you could throw that together in like 2 hours. We could totally do a stream on that if you guys are interested. That'd be the weirdest stream ever. All right. So, let's see if I can drop a box on myself. Oops, that's not gonna work. Oh, we have to assign the collider, don't we? This isn't gonna work. There we go. And then, yeah, everything's good. We should be good. I can drop this now. Let's see if it crushes me. Nope. Well, that didn't work. We could probably do this in another way, actually. Is this a good idea? Because I don't think this is a good idea, but we can try. So I'm gonna take that out, mostly because I didn't like that there in the first place, but that was just to see if it worked. It didn't, so now we're good. Would be triggered if any of the items get too close to the ground. I feel like I don't know if you have VR, but there's a game called Sorrento. I feel like if you went into like the acceleration mode, which just slows everything down, you could totally like juggle swords and stuff. And I don't know, do some fun stuff with that. Or like the glaives. I don't know. I've been playing way too much VR. Been trying to use it as a way to like work out and actually like do things, but it's sort of worked. I don't know. VR gets hard when you like, because I have 20 pounds of weights that I wear when I do that, and that actually works. I don't know. It's surprising when you talk to people about it, but whatever. I'm weird. Rift and Touch. I would love to test out a Rift. I've never actually used a Rift. I developed something for the Rift, but we didn't actually have a Rift at the time. So I made a game for the Rift, but I never actually played the game for the Rift on the Rift. So I have no idea. Dead and Buried. I've never played that game. I have never even seen it. We'll have to check it out. For me, it's usually like Final Fight, which is like a boxing game, and Gorn, which is just ridiculous, and then Sorrento, which is just ridiculously amounts of fun. And there's a few other ones like there's a music game that I'm totally blanking on, Audio Shield or whatever. I do that too, but I don't know. There's so many fun games for VR. It's totally different than normal stuff. Drunken Barfoot. I've seen that. I've seen that a lot, but I've never actually played it. So I'll have to try that. I definitely have a list of games to try. So, all right. Been getting distracted. Let's do a physics 2D dot circle cast, cube cast. What's the best way to do this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually physically detect collisions. Box cast. Box cast all. Yeah, so I've heard of Revive. I haven't tried it. A lot of those like conversion things I've been a little bit hesitant on. Like I wanted to try Skyrim VR, and somebody's managed to get that working, but it kind of works. Doom 3 VR is super fun. Would recommend. Minecraft VR caused me to lose all of my diamond, but well, that was fun. So, yeah. This transform position. Vector size. Vector 2.1 times 0.5. Angle 0. Direction. I don't know. I don't actually know what I'm doing here, so this may or may not work, but we're going to try it. Distance. I don't think this is needed, so we're not gonna do that. What did I do? Okay, can't give it a vector 3 as a vector 2. Revive is different. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'll have to try it out. It's something that I've been meaning to do. There's riffs all over. The Orchestra Hall, of all places, has one, and that's like about a 15-minute walk for me to just go and try one out. So one of the local game dev groups puts together a VR sample demo thing, and they put it in the orchestra hall because that's just what they do. So I'll need to try it out one of these times. Float and vector 3. I am missing something. 0.0 f. Direction. Okay, we do need the direction. Vector 3, vector 2 dot up. Because why not? Yeah, I kind of get that revive is like a... It feels more like Dolphin, almost. If you've tried to play that for like GameCube or whatever. It feels more... From what I've read of it, it seems like that more than like Skyrim or VR or whatever, where those are just mod conversion things, but whatever. What are hit? So we're going to take everything we hit. So for each bar hit in our hit objects, I'll rename that later. By later, I mean now. There we go. So hit, let's do a thing. So this will be everything that we hit. It's going to give us our raycast hits. That's interesting. Guess it works. It's kind of a weird name for something that isn't really a raycast, but whatever. For each of these, debug log, we're going to say hit, and then whatever we hit's name. Hit game object dot name. No, that doesn't work. I could have sworn that would have worked. Okay. What else do I need to do? Collider, rigid body. I guess we can take the rigid body will be null for most things. So I think it's easier if we take the transform and just do the name of that. That should get us all of the names of everything that is underneath our box. So theoretically, I should be able to run under the box, get hit, and then just go splat. But there's no death yet. So this is totally just a feature that may or may not ever actually exist. But boop. And did we hit? Anybody? Dropbox? Walls? Why are we hitting walls? That's kind of weird. Huh. Collapse. Okay, so we hit the player 57 times. Okay. That sort of works. This is going to be all kind of messed up, but whatever. So, we can definitely drop it onto our player now. It works. It's way too big, and I don't know why. But we can actually hit things. So, if I filter this by hit, rigid body is not null. So this way we'll only hit things with rigid bodies, which should only be players. There's a better way to do this, which would be tags, but you know, I guess we could do that. That makes sense. Let's do transform dot tag is equal to player. So if we hit the player, then we display who we hit. Then I can do that. Start this. And I imagine we are still going to hit ourselves, even if I don't move. Or not. Maybe it works better than I thought. I don't know why we were hitting walls earlier then. But if I drop that again. Ah, ha. Got it. missed a bit where we actually tagged our player with the player tag. That's key when you're searching for the player tag, to actually tag the thing with the thing that you're trying to, find. Oh well, it should work now. Okay, that one missed, which is good. I'm trying to just verify that we don't have false hits, like if you're close, but you're not underneath, it doesn't hit you, because that would suck if you were like, we're hitting really early, which is not, I know why that is, because there's no test here. If collider dot enabled, if our collider is enabled, then we'll do that. That was what I was missing. Okay, cool. So now the box should actually fall on the player. Cool. All right, now for the fun bit. So we have the drop box. I'm going to save that, then exit. And now here is our interactive buttons. So we have it so every 5 seconds these will drop something. If I just go into here, this is just going to be a quick test of the system. I'll probably build it out a little bit more. So the startup is not necessarily related to the world. It's starting up a bunch of external systems. It starts up 2 web servers. Well, not web servers, but it creates 2 network connections. One so that players can connect to it, and one so that we can receive that information from Beam. That's where a lot of the slowness is starting from. And that's not something that I really want to take out. But the world itself, I don't think takes too long. So I guess we could profile it and figure it out, but I don't really care. So let's do prefab 1. Yeah, so just for testing, let's also add a public transform player. All right, so what this is going to do is when you click this, we're going to do instantiate prefab 1 at the player's position with the we can actually do a random rotation around the z-axis. So it'll be randomly spun around the z-axis. So random rotation. I think I've included something. Something's giving this the wrong random. There we go. I'm not using an array here because there's only 4 buttons. Maybe it makes sense, but this way it's just easier I can actually give them names later on. This is strictly for a test. This entire class is going to be deleted long before anybody ever sees it in the actual game. I shouldn't have said that because now I have to actually delete it. But yeah, what do we want? That's from 0 to 1. Let's get times 360. Cool. So this creates a box and drops it on the current player. Yeah, that should work. Because the player will always be in the game thing. Why would I declare them all in one line then? Because I don't know. I guess, yeah, that makes sense. I should do that, but I'm not going to. Don't know why, just not going to. Let's see. I need to attach the player. And then just assign the same Dropbox 4 times? Is that a good idea? That seems like a less than good idea. I think we're going to assign this 4 times, and then I'm going to go and rename the box. So this guy, var box equals whatever we create. Box.name equals pick 4 box. There we go. All right, cool. Boxes done. We can drop them, I think. So another one of those interactive bits. You guys can, if you go to that Mixer page, you should be able to try dropping boxes on the player now. Oh. Destination array was not long enough. Oops. Mix up the colors per button. You know, we can do that actually, because it's all just assigned. So one sec, let me do that, because that's actually super easy to do. Know that thing I was joking about not using arrays? It would have been really smart to use arrays. Oh well. And we might actually, so there may not always be 4 options. So this may have been a bit of a leap. Let's do blue, green, red, and yellow? Magenta, yellow, yellow. And let's change this to cyan. Cool. So we've got the colors there. And since this is strictly for testing, let's just grab our, what did we call it? We called it our animation something? Our Dropbox animation, I think. Yeah. So once we get this, we can say the light color is going to be equal to color 1. That's not color 1, but there we go. And so theoretically, now we get things dropping all over the place. And hopefully it actually works. So if I start this, we should be able to drop those 4 colors as boxes from Mixer. And anybody should be able to do that. So theoretically, oh, somebody did. Cool. So there's one, number 4. And then you can just keep dropping them. And then theoretically you'd pick them up, but I haven't implemented that yet. But that's sort of how this whole thing is going to work. Those will drop. Oh, 2. What? Why are they all synchronized? That's kind of weird. Oh, geez. All right, so it sort of works. Did I not implement the progress? Why are there? It's so weird that it's changing all of their colors. Oh, you're right. The material is shared. Huh. I'm still curious how you spam that when the cooldown is triggered, but okay. We may need to tweak some of these things before we do too much with it. It'll eventually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a lottery system that I'm going to implement that'll do all of this, it will handle actually displaying those things and actually displaying like what they would be, because you have no idea what those are yet. But ideally, it would like disable the actual system. This doesn't do anything other than just display it. Eventually, it's going to be like collecting votes. And then once you've voted, it kind of picks whatever ones who kind of create a bunch of tallies. Maybe you can spam it. Maybe that's a mechanic, and just encourage people to be ridiculous and write like bots to click these things. That may not be a good idea, considering the audience is going to be mostly programmers, but whatever. We'll figure that out. But yeah, you can drop it. Should we fix the material? We could do that. Yeah, sure. Why not? Glow material. So, so this is a reference to the shared material. So we can't actually do this if we do that by changing them. And so, do I want to reveal the color is the thing. Well, so we're changing the shared material because the material is not coming off of the model. It's actually the shared material resource. So there's no shared material because it's not coming off of the filtered mesh. Like if I did, or the mesh filter, like this, if I get the material, not that, mesh renderer. If I do this, then there's a shared material and just the normal material. This should work. But I was just using the actual resource, which was why we were getting those problems. Oops. Material. Right. So that should fix it. I'll need to actually fix the box, but other than that, can't drop things into the game. Of course not. That wouldn't make any sense. Glow material. I want to grab you, Mr. Glowy thing. Delete that invisible extra thing that we had. We don't need that anymore. And then I think we're good. We can drop it again. And so, yeah, so the box is coming down for how crap the boxes look. It actually looks really, I'm surprised at how nice it looks. I think part of that's just, there's so many image effects on this that just break everything. So yeah, I think we can turn this into something. So tomorrow we probably want to make everything, I don't know, make it a little bit more interactive. And actually, so the two things we have left to do is build a game, because there's no game here yet. But we want to build the game, and then we want to make it interactive so that people can actually do things. So we need to get the controller streaming working, and then we need to actually build the proper game bits. So there's going to be a lot of work going on there, honestly. I don't anticipate too much for the actual controller. Granted, I've only tested the controls with an Xbox controller, so I have no idea what's going to happen outside of that. It may just not work at all. So we'll see. But I have tested the actual stream. So if I go, oh no. I saw that out of the corner of my eyes. But if I open up OBS, this may get a little bit weird, but I'm going to do a stream in a stream, which means I have to turn this off, that off. So OBS or Mixer has their own fork of OBS, which I use for streaming. On Discord, so there is a link to our Discord channel in the About page. So you can go in there. I'm RuneWake 2 in that room. I might change my name eventually, but that was my gaming name, and it's sort of the name that I've had forever. It's the name with all of the fun middle school connotations of weird things you said on the internet before you knew that everybody could see your stuff on the internet, but whatever. It's that's sort of, yeah, me. So that link is on our About page, and I try to drop it in a lot of the video descriptions. So you can jump on there, and there's a bunch of chat rooms about some of the projects we work on. And I try to kind of update there first-ish if there's something happening, which there hasn't really been yet. But, you know, whatever. All right. What am I doing? We have the boxes. So I guess the next things to work on, game and remote control. So the remote control is literally just taking this controller input. If I go to the player, there is a player input object. I need to stream this. So this needs to be sourced from somebody else. That's how that's going to work. So going back here is that. If I move, I'm going to lose chat for a bit. Unless I sneakily move it over here. Huzzah. So we have the game running over there. This here, if I start recording, that's not going to work. Start streaming, that's not going to work. What have I done? I have broken it. This may be a really crappy demo. Oh, well, why is it trying to go to YouTube? That's the problem. Okay, one sec. I'll get this working. Boop. Oh. Well, okay, it wiped out all of my credentials. So I'm not going to do that, because then I'd have to show stream credentials online, and I don't want to do that. But anyway, the eventual idea is there's only 200 milliseconds of lag between what I see here and what you would see on Mixer when I actually stream through that service. YouTube has between like 5 and 15 seconds of lag, and that kind of varies. Twitch is closer to like 30 seconds, I think. But Mixer is 200 milliseconds, which is close enough to real time that you can actually like sing along to a song, or in this case, play the video game. So we need to get that controller working with as low of latency as possible, because that 200 milliseconds for Mixer plus the input lag from actually streaming it to here, that total time, that represents how long it takes before you actually move in game. So we need to get that as low as possible, which I can control one of those things. I can control the input synchronization, but I can't control the Mixer end of things. And they've done a good job of getting it super fast. So yeah, that's probably next. Then building a game as much as we can. So I just want to, there's a bunch of things with the remote control. First, I just want to be able to connect and actually stream the input. I don't anticipate that taking too long, because we can actually develop all of that on a single screen. The next bit gets a little bit more difficult because we're going to actually have a queue, and we actually kind of already have that. On Wednesday, we developed this connection controller so I can actually connect. And you can see it's enqueuing the player in the player list, and the player actually has a primary and secondary color, which would theoretically correlate to what they look like in game. So you get those fun things, and you get your name and all of that, and then you get put into a queue that'll probably take up the right side of the screen. And then when somebody dies in the game or there's an open spot, if there's somebody in the queue, it will pull somebody out and maybe drop a box. Since we have that, might as well use it. But it will drop a box, and that person will enter the game until they die and open up another spot. And when you die, you get put back into the queue and so forth. So getting all of that system working, it might take a while. I don't know entirely how well it's going to go, but that's sort of where it's going. So I'm kind of, I guess if I haven't made it clear, I'm kind of wrapping the stream up because this is what I wanted to get done. I wanted to be able to drop these, and theoretically opening them is just another cast. So, right. See ya, Wefs? Oh, that's not how you pronounce that. Sorry? I don't know. So, anyway, that's sort of where we're going. It's going to be interesting. I don't know when we'll finish it, but we'll definitely finish it. So, yeah, that's something to look forward to. So, unless anybody has any like questions or anything like that, I'll probably just wrap things up and then probably tinker with this a little bit on my own. So normally after streams or whatever, and certainly after like some of the videos I do, I'll go and actually kind of play around with things a little bit, because you think like when I'm doing this, like I'm trying, you have to be kind of entertaining and kind of do that kind of thing. So do I play Starcraft 2? I assume that's what you mean by SC2. Yes. But I'm awful at it and haven't touched it in like a year. I used to play, I was like a Zerg player, and it works all right, but I play it more for the fun of the game than for the competitiveness of it. In StarCraft, that's not really what the game is about. So there's a little bit of weird things for there. I think I'm bronze. Pretty sure I'm bronze. Is there something before bronze? I might be that. So I don't know. So in the Discord, there's actually, I created a gaming channel because just between everything that I work on, I usually don't game that much anymore unless it's with somebody. So if like my friends are playing League of Legends, I'll join them for that. Or if something else is going on, I'll do that. But unless it's like a game that I'm really into or like VR, I don't usually do single player stuff. I don't usually do stuff by myself. I do a lot of single player stuff like Mass Effect, Skyrim, that kind of stuff. I have like 300 hours in Skyrim, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Smacking things. So, anywho, yeah, there's my rant about StarCraft. It's a great game though. I like StarCraft. I really like, so I don't play StarCraft as much as I'd like to, mostly because I'm bad. I do watch StarCraft a lot, especially that there's a student competition for computer scientists where they stream StarCraft bots one against the other. That's super cool. Let me see if I can actually find that. Let's see here. Starcraft AI Competition. So yeah, here's the thing. Let me grab that. Paste it over here. So this is some student competition that they do regular like Twitch streams about AI. And so they'll do all sorts of stuff. I think there's a bunch of universities that compete in this. I don't entirely know. But these are actually super interesting to watch because they do all sorts of stuff. And I think most of them are written by students. So that's a thing. But if you guys want, is this the right one? This might not be the right one. I could be wrong. There's a bunch of these actually. And I think that they're coming out with a Starcraft that is specifically designed for botting, uh, which sounds interesting. But yeah, I don't think this is the link that I'm thinking of. But there's one that does like Twitch streams almost every week, and it's just literally AI bots going against one another, and they have like commentators and stuff that will talk about what they're thinking, and it actually looks cool. But anyway, that's cool. That's a thing. I don't know. The robots will get us soon. Probably. They probably, yeah. I I don't know. AI is such a weird concept. Part of me part of me has Elon Musk's concern of the robots are going to take over the world, and mostly that's due to like Google and things like that, who develop things and then ask questions later, like Google Glass, where they come out with something that is very good at invading people's privacy, and then they're like, "Oh, this wasn't a good idea." A part of me is concerned about that because eventually, if you develop an AI, what's to prevent the AI from wanting to keep itself like alive? If you code an AI to prevent itself from being terminated, then it's not going to want you to turn it off. So there's certain things like that. So I don't know. Tom Scott, Computer File. I think it's on his Computer File channel, but he has a good interview about the stop button problem on AI, which is kind of related to the whole thing I kind of illustrated, where if you program a robot to not want, or to where being turned off is a bad thing, it will, a good AI will actually learn to figure out ways to deceive you into thinking that it doesn't need to be turned off, even if it should be. Like, even if you're thinking, oh yeah, I would turn this robot off in a heartbeat if I knew what it was doing, it will go out of its way to not allow that, because that's part of its programming. The stop button is bad, so it makes you not want to press it. So I don't know, it's a fun thing. Machine learning AI is it's a super interesting topic, and it's going to get big. It already is big. That's why you have Cortana and Siri and all of that fun stuff. That's why all of that exists, because it's cool. But we'll see. Anyway, yeah, that's it. We'll see. I don't have anything else that I particularly want to cover. Mostly just a ramble. I might take. That's the problem with this, is there's so much that I want to get done, but I kind of want to. I kind of want to just like design it all and then pull it all together later, but you can't. I haven't figured out a way to do that and like stream it or capture it in a way that is cohesive. And I don't really have the best filming thing. Like I have ideas for like a matrix. I want to do an example of like how 3D objects, like all of this, how does all of everything that's on your screen get there? But to do that, I need like a green screen setup, and I don't have that. I have a green screen, but it doesn't really work. And that's just because I don't have the proper lighting. So we'll see. I'm still figuring out a lot of this stuff. Like it's all new. A voxel system. I would love to see a cool voxel system, because the one that we've been building sort of works, but I'm mostly just planning on turning the entire thing into a giant compute shader system that does its own thing. So we'll see where that ends up. But yeah, that and the grass shader are coming up once this gets to a working state. So make a video. That would be awesome. We need more programming videos that are interesting to watch. Unity mesh stuff. Cool. Nice. Ooh. All right. Is there anything else that I should do? Other than that, I think I'll leave it here. I don't know. Once it gets past 2 hours, I need to like pace myself or do something else, because my throat gets all raspy after 2 hours of streaming, and I don't know, it just gets harder and harder. It takes a lot out of you. Anyway, other rambles for other days. Yeah. I guess I will see you either tomorrow or Monday. I haven't figured out when the stream will happen. I'll make progress tomorrow, but I don't know if it'll be streamed, so we'll see. But oops. Till then, see you guys and have a good weekend, I guess. Yeah. Bye.